With less than a week to go until the Texas primary, Senator Ted Cruz has an 8 percentage point lead over Donald Trump here in Texas. That's according to a new University of Texas Tribune poll that was released just about 2 hours ago. Joining me this morning for an in-depth look at the numbers, Jim Henson from the Texas Politics Project. Good morning. Thanks for being with us.
Happy to be here.
All right, so the numbers work out like this. Cruz 37%, Trump 29%, Rubio 15%. What's the first reaction to that?
First reaction to that is that looks about what we would expect. On one hand, this is Ted Cruz's home state. He's very popular among Republican primary voters, but after all, Texas is part of the United States. Donald Trump doing very well nationally and really has made inroads among lots of pockets of voters in the Republican primary electorate. So really looking at a Trump-Cruz race for the most part, with Rubio lurking back there, but I think probably hard for him to get too much traction here.
The Republican Party anymore these days seems it's more fractured than it ever has been. There's moderate, conservative, Tea Party, young, old. How did it break down along those lines?
Well, if you look at who was where in that, Trump did very well among the kind of center-right voters. But as in a lot of other places, his support is very evenly distributed for the most part. Cruz ran much stronger among very conservative voters and very strong Republicans.
So I wonder if that then makes Trump a little better candidate for a general election, some might argue, because of the moderate aspect of that. So then the Democrats, that's obviously down to two people there, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton.
So we found among likely voters, Secretary Clinton leading Bernie Sanders by about 10 percentage points. That race is tightening. I think that in the end, the Clinton margin probably is a little bit higher than that. The real key role here, or the real key thing to consider here, is what Latino voters are going to do. Latino voters strongly support Secretary Clinton, but have relatively low turnout patterns. If Latinos turn out in larger numbers, the margin gets bigger for Secretary Clinton. These numbers were also in the field before Nevada and right after New Hampshire. It was really the sweet spot for Bernie Sanders. So I suspect that Secretary Clinton has a little more breathing room than 10 points, but certainly probably not the 20 points or plus that we've seen in the past anymore.
And realistically speaking, how much can numbers like these fluctuate in a week from now by Super Tuesday?
Well, they can't fluctuate wildly in a week. If you figure we finished collecting data last Friday, so got it done and out as quickly as we can. But things do happen. More people make up their minds. In both of these races, though, a lot of people seem pretty sure of their votes, particularly the large shares of people that are supporting the front runners in both of those races are pretty sure they're not going to change their mind. So we'll see some movement inevitably, but not a lot.
Would something like yesterday's development with Cruz and the asking his communications director to resign over the video that turned out to be false, would something like that, do you think, have a great effect on the
I think those kind of inside process stories tend not to have a huge effect in and of themselves. That story was part of the larger dynamic in that race about Ted Cruz's character. I think that's the way the initial story about the video was played, and I think the Cruz campaign moved decisively and probably in a smart way to fire the person involved and move on with it. I don't expect that's going to move a lot of people.
All right, Jim, thank you very much. Our first taste of some real numbers here. A week from now, we're going to get the actual numbers that count. Good. Thank you very much. We appreciate you being here with us.
You're welcome. Happy to be here.